everybody, Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer back once again. Last two videos I was showing you the games that I have purchased for not only the Nintendo Entertainment System, but the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Since I stopped making videos, I do believe that was in May, I think. Now let's go for Genesis. There's not as many games for this system as I had for the others, but you know, there's some cool stuff in here too. A couple that of the ones I've really been looking into picking up once again, you know, after I had to sell all these things when I lost my job about almost 4 years ago. Starting with Sunset Riders. The Super Nintendo version of this game goes for quite a pretty penny. We're talking about $100, complete in box. This is the cheaper alternative. Next is Ren and Stimpy Presents Stimpy's Invention. I got it for like $3 or $4. Ranger X. The Sega 6-button arcade pad, which it's recommended. Really cool action game that you would think, with some of the effects going on in this game, that it was for the Super Nintendo. Yeah, they managed to like fake Mode 7 as much as they possibly could here. It's a very, very, very hard mech game. It's like a side-scrolling action game that's like part shooter and part land-based. Really, really awesome. Really hard. James Bond, The Duel. Awesome music. Not so great gameplay. Forgotten Worlds. Really cool side-scrolling sort of shoot-'em-up game. It's kind of like Space Harrier on its side. This is an early Sega Genesis game, and it kind of shows. But it is really fun, and the graphics are very, very, very colorful. Fatal Labyrinth. It's an RPG. Kind of a crappy, like low-rent RPG, I guess. It's kind of like Ultima, as far as I'm concerned. It feels like Ultima, but just not really well done Ultima. X-Mutants. Yeah. It's alright. I guess. It's not X-Men. DJ Boy. I've seen the arcade game that this is based on. Awesome, awesome music with like actual songs in it sung by people. And this has none of that. It's a beat 'em up that's kind of like Final Fight, but you're like on rollerblades or roller skates, and you run around just beating up other people on the beach that are acting like douches. While it is fun, it's definitely not the arcade game. Crew Ball, which is the Motley Crue pinball game. I have very fond memories of this. I was never a big fan of Motley Crue. I was never really into that hair metal stuff from like the late 80s and early 90s very much. I wasn't into Poison or any of that kind of stuff. But I remember this game being pretty awesome. And I've always been a big fan of pinball, and this had a very cool table designed for this game. I love this for the game, not for Motley Crue. Championship Pro-Am. This is a sequel to RC Pro-Am for the Nintendo, made for the Genesis by Rare. Yeah. I didn't even know that this game existed. I really didn't. I was just putzing around on eBay one day, and I see this. And I'm like, is that what I think it is? I mean, the font for Pro-Am looked exactly the same as RC Pro-Am, which I do have for the Nintendo. So I click on it, and lo and behold, it's like a sequel to RC Pro-Am. I didn't even know there was a part 2 for the Nintendo. I had no clue. Gasp and swoon. I just caught the vapors, because this is RC Pro-Am is one of my favorite games for that system. So yeah, I bought this, and I only think I paid like $8 for it. Yes. Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. One of the few Disney games that came out for the Genesis that was actually pretty good. I remember I had Fantasia, and that game is ass. 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 It's actually really fun. Graphics are really cool. The music is catchy. This is one of those games that can be hard, it can be frustrating, but is a lot of fun. And it really has a cool Disney feel to it. Captain America and the Avengers. This is probably the best version of this particular arcade game that was ever released for a home system. There's a Super Nintendo version that was released by Mindscape, and it is pretty awful. I remember I did buy the Super Nintendo one at an electronics boutique that was in a mall, and they had a policy that if you opened it and played it within 3 days, I think, of purchasing it, if you didn't like it, you could bring it back and exchange it for something else. I brought that shit back the same day. This is the best version of this game. Super fun beat 'em up with all these characters you can play as Vision, Iron Man, Captain America, or Hawkeye. Each of them was kind of unique. It was a lot of fun. It still is a lot of fun. I love this game. I love it. Battletech. Kind of like a ground-based Desert Strike. This and MechWarrior on the Super Nintendo were kind of competing, I guess, at the same time. I always like this one more. Yeah, then there's this. I got it for like $2. Batman Forever. Okay, Altered Beast. I got this for a couple bucks, Air Diver. It's cool. It could have been a lot better. My problem with it is that the cockpit display that you have pretty much takes up half the screen, and you only have like a little area at the top. You can kind of see it in the pictures. You don't really have a whole lot of area to see through, and sometimes that can be a detriment. It was fun. Seismic is the company that released Musha. I want Musha. And these are the two games I was the most excited to get back into my collection. I'm not going to play them until I get a Sega Master System so I can play the first game in this series, so I can play them all in a row, and I still need to find the last game for the Genesis in the series. They are Phantasy Star 2 and Phantasy Star 3. I never really played the third one, but I know a lot of people tell me that it is not good. Or at least it's not that great. However, Phantasy Star 2, everybody loves, and so do I. I played this a ton as a kid. I thought this was the best RPG I had ever played until Final Fantasy II came along. But I love the sci-fi fantasy aspect of these games. This one in particular, it is so much fun. The story is really, really cool. And I do believe it carries over slightly into each game. But I don't want to play these games now until I can get a Master System so I can play the first game, then go through these two, and then finally get a copy of Part 4, which I think is the most expensive one out there right now, which kind of sucks. But, you know, I gotta have them. They're awesome. And then I don't own the system to play these on yet, but I've been finding certain games for this system pretty cheap, and I wasn't going to pass them up, and that is a Sega CD. Yeah, this is a full-motion video game, and everyone hates those. I think they're fun because they're cheesy, and they kind of do have their place in gaming, especially at this point in time, because everyone was like, CD-based games, like they can just hold so much memory. Why not, you know, just show off the cool stuff we can do with it, which is all about video. Like, oh my god, we got real actors doing this stuff, even though most of them would never pass as a real actor to begin with. Dracula Unleashed. I never did have this one. I had Sewer Shark, I had, you know, Ground Zero Texas, I had Night Trap, I had all those back in the day. This is the only one I think I didn't have. I love anything that has vampires in it, you know, Dracula. It's so big, it's on 2 discs. That's crazy. Rise of the Dragon. Now this is an awesome cyberpunk, like Shadowrun-y type game. Super amazeballs. It's like a graphic adventure. There's point-and-click aspects. Sometimes there's side-scrolling levels too. But the storyline in this game was amazing. It is so much fun. Like I said, the story is awesome. So many good memories with this. I remember I would bring this game over to my friend Charlie's house, and we would just play it. You know, I think I had a game saved on my Sega CD, and then I had one saved on his. So when I'd go over to his house, you know, we could play it over there, and I wouldn't have to, like, drag my whole Sega CD Genesis combo over. You know, so much fun. This game is amazing. And then there's Eternal Champions! Yeah, this is, I guess, sort of like a reboot of the Genesis version, because the Genesis version, while it was kind of groundbreaking, it did have gigantic characters. You know, the size of the characters was unheard of for a Genesis game, especially for a fighting game. I do believe it was like the first fighting game made specifically for the Genesis. It was super slow, and it was not really fun to play. It was very clunky. Well, with all the extra memory and everything that you could get with a CD-based system, they completely rehauled it and turned it into this masterpiece. This is everything it should have been. It is fast. It's easy to play. The controls are great. The special moves are easy to pull off. The fatalities are still kind of... I mean, they're awesome to see, but to get them to work is not so easy. There's full motion, you know, cinema cutscenes and all that. New characters. The music is awesome. And it's a really dynamite fighting game. I really love this one. I just gotta get a Sega CD to play these damn things on. That's it for the Genesis and Sega CD stuff. Please subscribe to this channel. Leave me some comments below. What games do you think I need to look for the Sega Genesis and the Sega CD? Because, you know, I'm always out looking for things, and if I can focus on something specific, it'll take me away from just surfing eBay and going like that and that and that and that. If I'm looking for something specific, I'm focused on that. You know what I'm saying? And don't forget to check out my other show, Toasty. It's right here. Click on the link. You'll love it. Me and my friend Josh talk about everything in the nerdverse. Comic books, movies, video games, tabletop games. We've had awesome guests like Taryn Manning from Orange is the New Black, Scott from Video Game Sellers. We've had Erica Zabo from MindBit. So the whole show is about talking, conversing, having a conversation about geek topics. There's even an episode where I rant about Star Wars. So check it out. The link is right here. Subscribe to that channel, definitely. Look us up on Facebook and the Twitter, and give us suggestions for topics we need to talk about, because we want to talk to you. So look us up, send us messages, ideas for shows. We're willing to talk about anything, and we love doing it. So please check it out. So until next time, I'll see you later. This is Chris, the old ass retro gamer, signing off.